presents Major League Baseball today live from Fort Lauderdale Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's the Orioles against the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a beautiful day for baseball. Sunny, 86 degrees, and it doesn't get any better than this. Hello, Tom Davis together with Mike Flanagan. 13 days before opening day. What do we have to look forward to?
Well, I think, I've been down here since March 1st. It's probably been the best run camp a lot of the players feel in the last maybe decade. But now with 13 days to go, you want to find your groove. It's time to stop working on new pitches, time to pitch, get some people out and catch the ball. And I think from here on in, Mike Hargrove's going to play the A-team. We're going to see a lot of that today.
Got a pretty good pitching matchup. We'll tell you a little bit about that in just a few moments, and check out the starting lineups. HCS's coverage of Orioles baseball is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Log on for low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol for e-freedom. And by Toyota. Test drive the Tundra, Toyota's new full-size truck, at your Toyota dealer. Better values every day. It's Ken Bottenfield against Sidney Ponson. The Cardinals and the Orioles next on HTS. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Tom Davis together with Mike Flanagan, and the Orioles are ready to face the St. Louis Cardinals, and they're wasting no time getting the first pitch underway right here in Fort Lauderdale. Eric Davis facing Sidney Ponson. There's a strike one, a foul down the right field line.
Well, the joys of spring. Can't wait to get out there and get this one started. Sidney's having a pretty good spring.
Scheduled to go 5 innings today. And Eric Davis, the designated hitter for the St. Louis Cardinals, has not seen much action in spring training. They've basically been trying to keep Eric Davis down until the season's ready to start.
Well, he was limited to 191 at-bats last year, and his season really ended in June. So he was one of their major disappointments last year due to injury.
Tore a rotator cuff. There was a foul at the plate.
Eric Davis, J.D. Drew, Ray Langford, and Eli Marrero all had tough seasons for the Cardinals, as did their pitching staff, and they've worked hard over the winter to try to right those wrongs.
Ponson facing an Eric Davis who hit just .256 with 5 home runs and 30 RBIs the year after he hit .328 for the Orioles in Baltimore. Miss, strike 3. Eric Davis goes down. We're going to take a look at the starting lineups now for the Cardinals. Eric Davis, of course, is the DH batting leadoff. He'll be followed by Fernando Vina, the second baseman, hitting second. Edgar Renteria, the shortstop, bats third. Then Mark McGuire, Ray Langford, and Fernando Tatis. The bottom three, J.D. Drew, Thomas Howard, and Eli Marrero, the catcher. And this is Fernando Vina. He came over from Milwaukee, is expected to give a lift to the top part of the lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, they had a lot of problem with the table setters for the Cardinals last year.
Ball one to Fernando Vina.
Edgar Renteria, their shortstop, just signed a long-term contract. They'll spend most of the season there. But Vina is a true leadoff man. I think we saw Eric Davis DHing and leading off because of his limited at-bats this spring.
2 balls and no strikes to Vina, who had a deep 5 bruise last year and had only 154 at-bats with the Milwaukee Brewers. And the 2-0. 3 balls and no strikes to Fernando Vina.
And of course, with the injury to Scott Erickson, who is progressing nicely. Had a nice chat with Scotty today. Ponzon will assume that number 2 role in the Oriole rotation.
Vina takes a strike. It's 3 balls and 1 strike now to the Cardinals second baseman. Ponzon, who is a game under 500 in his 2 big league seasons with the Orioles.
With both his seasons, he really tailed off at the end, the month of September.
Lifted into shallow left field. Rich Amaral out there, and he makes the catch to retire Fernando Vina. 2 out in the Cardinal first inning. Here's a look at the Orioles defense today. In the infield, Cal Bordick, Delano DeShields, and Will Clark. The outfield has Rich Amaral in left, Eugene Kingsale in center, and Albert Bell in right. The catchers Charles Johnson, and we mentioned Sidney Ponson on the mound.
Yeah, the only cause for concern with that defense really is we're normally used to seeing Brady Anderson in center and B.J. Surhoff in left. Both have been slowed by injury.
And here's Edgar Renteria, who swings at the first pitch, strike 1. Renteria led the St. Louis Cardinals with 161 hits last season. He was in the World Series with the Florida Marlins a couple of years ago. This ball over Albert Bell's head. Bell back to the warning track, can't make the play, and on his way for 2 is Edgar Renteria with a double to the right field wall.
This is classic hitting. He's ready for opening day. Stays back well. Just lifts that left leg and hits a rocket down the right field line. Renteria led the club in hits last season.
Here's who everybody's been waiting to see here in Fort Lauderdale, the Cardinals' Mark McGwire.
You look forward to seeing him from this angle. Never really rejoiced in facing him from the angle that Ponzone is assuming.
Ball one to Mark McGwire, who has had some marvelous years in St. Louis. Last season, 65 home runs, 147 RBIs, scored 118 and walked 133 times. All the numbers favor McGwire. Pitches outside, 2 balls and no strikes to Mark McGwire.
He's become a very patient hitter when he's in the American League. Struck out a lot, walks right around 100. Now he's up in the 130s for his base on balls. So he's learned to be patient when he has been pitched around, which happens quite often.
Hit hard to left center field, deep out there against the warning track. The ball lands. McGwire get too easy on this. The Cardinals will get a run as Renteria scores from second on the RBI double by Mark McGwire.
Well, the baseball truisms are already coming into effect. Ponzone ahead of Eric Davis and Fernando Vina. Retires them. 2-0 fastball up and out over the plate. And it really sounded like it hit a rock coming off his bat. So Ponzone falls behind the count to Renteria and McGwire. And they're going to have nice passes. McGwire doesn't miss too many fastballs up and out of the plate.
You better believe that.
If I had to circle a zone, that would be the zone I would stay away from. You really can't count on the wind. Usually there's a prevailing wind directly in from center field here in Lauderdale. But the McGwire hits him. The wind really doesn't have an effect.
Ray Langford, the left fielder for St. Louis. Been around a long time. And a Cardinal since '91. It's 1 ball and no strikes to Langford, who hit .306 last year. His career best with St. Louis in 122 games, but was slowed by some knee problems. Completely out of the park. Foul. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ray Langford.
And yesterday's game for the Cardinals, home runs by Langford, McGwire, and Sean Dustin accounted for all of the 7 Cardinal runs scored. So they sort of become an old American League type team. The Earl Weaver 3-run homers.
Wait for things to happen. Over the screen.
They tried to improve the top of their lineup with Vina to get some guys on base for McGwire. And the rest.
No, last year they had J.D. Drew at the top of the lineup. They've dropped him down this year.
Well, he pretty much dropped out of the picture. We saw him last spring. Thought he was going to develop quickly. But the adjustment to the breaking ball has slowed Drew down.
Ponzone working on a 1-2 count now to Ray Langford, who holds the record for the most home runs at Busch Stadium in St. Louis with 95, but that'll be surpassed by McGwire about 3 weeks into the season.
Maybe it's surpassed this year.
2-2 now to Ray Langford.
And again, the Cardinals were busy over the wintertime trying to improve their rotation, which many feel they have, with Pat Henkin, the former Cy Young Award winner from the Blue Jays.
They added Darryl Kyle
from the Rockies, who had a miserable couple of seasons for them. Felt that altitude really straightened out his breaking ball, and hopefully St. Louis will bring it back, and he's pitched pretty well for him.
Also brought back Andy Bennis, who pitched well for them in '96 when they went to postseason play the first year with Tony La Russa managing the club.
Well, the Cardinals could have been the poster team for certainly a team with no pitching and a pretty good offense last year.
Ball 4 to Ray Langford, so the Cardinals have runners at first and second, a run in, 2 away here in the top of the first, and Fernando Tatis striding up to the plate.
I guess we're probably glad the bases aren't loaded in this situation.
2 grand slams for Fernando Tatis in the same inning off the same pitcher last year, Chan-Ho Park.
He was first in the National League in batting average with the bases loaded. Hit close to 700.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Unbelievable. But Eddie was very good, and Pat Tabler with the bases loaded, and BJ.
Right. BJ Surhoff falls in that category. Clutch hitters.
They never hit 692. Tatis just got a new 4-year contract, too, to put him in the upper echelon of salary.
Well, he's the first Cardinals infielder ever to hit 20 home runs and steal 20 bases in the same season. Hit 34 home runs, but I guess when you have a guy in your club that hits 65, you finish, what, 31 behind him? Didn't quite seem fair.
Big cutter to miss by Fernando Tatis. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the spring training home of the Orioles.
And that's the pitch that Ponzone's been working on. That small or tight slider, I guess. It's a version of a curveball grip. It's featured a couple times already today.
The 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The Cardinals get a run on 2. They leave 2. Headed for the bottom of the first inning at St. Louis 1. The Orioles coming to bat. Here's a look at the Orioles starting lineup today. Rich Amaral will be in left field batting leadoff. He'll be followed by Mike Bordick at shortstop. Delano DeShields at second. In the middle 3, Albert Bell in right. Harold Baines the DH and Cal Ripken at third. The bottom 3, Will Clark, Charles Johnson, and Eugene Kingsale. Here's a look at the Cardinals defense with Tatis, Renteria, Vigna, and McGuire in the infield. Langford, Drew, and Howard in right field. Bottenfield the pitcher, and Marrero the catcher. And Bottenfield won 18 last year, Mike, with the Cardinals.
Pretty amazing. Really had a breakthrough season. The most wins he'd ever had in the season was back in '93 when he had 5. His record that year is 5-10. So he really emerged in a pretty dismal season for the staff of the Cardinals to be their ace. Made the All-Star team. And he's picked up really this spring. He is not allowed an earned run in 10 innings pitched. A couple unearned.
First pitch to Amaral is a strike 1. Rich will probably be the Orioles' 4th outfielder this season.
Well, with the injuries to Surhoff and Brady Anderson, Amaral and Wayne Kirby, Derek May have all had a chance to place in the outfield. Even Delano DeShields has played a couple of games in center field. Delano DeShields also batting third a lot this spring. Of course, he does have more home runs than McGuire, so I guess you have to do that.
3.
That's right. McGuire has 2.
Amaral was a pretty good player for the Orioles last year.
He's just a solid veteran type, having a terrific spring.
He had 323 after May the 21st last season. Takes outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Rich Amaral. The 2-2. Foul away. Count stays 2-2. You know, I saw some of these reports on Bottenfield a little bit that said that he might not make the starting rotation if everything's worked out well, and he won 18 games last.
He had a chance to win 20 and made the All-Star team. That's a difference a year will make.
Just off the corner. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Rich Amaral. Bottenfield was 4th in the National League in victories last year. Led the Cardinals in starts, strikeouts, and earned run average.
The thing is, he had 14 wins prior to the All-Star game.
Ball 4 to Rich Amaral. Did a good job working the count there and drawing a base on balls. So Bottenfield will have to face Mike Bordick next, the Orioles shortstop and one of the most steady players in the game.
Manager Mike Hargrove really likes Bordick in that 2 spot. I think that's first couple of games of the spring. Delano DeShields was in that spot, and Bordick was hitting 8th. But really, I think after the terrific year Bordick had really sandwiched between Brady Anderson and B.J. Surhoff, that right-handed batter between those 2 quality left-handers really made a difference in the Oriole top of the lineup. You know, when DeShields there, you really have 3 left-handed batters in a row.
Down the right field line, Thomas Howard makes the catch in fair territory to retire Mike Bordick. 1 away. Here's Delano DeShields striding up to the plate. Delano likes to show the high socks.
And also the high batting average, and he's really played well this spring. I think it's almost unfair the way last year turned out for DeShields. injured before the first exhibition game even started, an inter-squad game. It seemed like every time Delano got rolling, some sort of freakish style injury would come along. Shields happy and healthy, and I think that those two things go hand in hand.
One of 3 Oriole infielders that did not play 100 games that was expected to start last year. Cal, of course, 86 games. DeShields less than 100, and Will Clark 77 games.
Good point. And all this has created is a lot of depth at second base with Jerry Hairston. So again, with the injury to Anderson, Delano played center a couple of days, and Hairston, both in the lineup, both getting a fair shot. I have to say DeShields will be in the lead in that race.
I think also DeShields gives the Orioles something at the top of the order, like you were mentioning, third in the lineup, extra speed on the bases. I mean, he definitely runs the bases well and can go from first to third rather quickly.
Right, he had a lot of leg injuries last year. He had the hand injury, which really slowed him down. So again, I don't think we really saw the real DeShields last year.
Amaral gets back to first base. Back in 1997, Delano DeShields had 14 triples for the St. Louis Cardinals.
I think didn't he average over 40 bases a year?
Averaged 42 steals a year in 9 National League seasons with Montreal, Los Angeles, and St. Louis.
And that's the reason he was acquired.
Foul ball. 2-2 the count to Delano DeShields.
Homer twice in a game just a few days ago here.
It's also been seen in center field a couple of games with the injury due to Brady Anderson. DeShields said he had not played center field since his days up in Seaford, Delaware when he was in high school.
The thing is, he's a good athlete, though. And with that speed, it just creates another position, another option for Mike Hargrove.
All managers like versatility.
And depth. You know, as a reliever, you say deep depth. And again, it's a pleasant problem to have DeShields and Hairston competing in the spring.
Keeping Amaral close. Bottenfield not afraid to throw over there. Here's Mike Hargrove.
He's done a nice job this spring. I've been around the club a lot. Very well organized.
Renteria to first, to McGuire, and a double play. So the Orioles out of the inning. We'll head to the second inning with the Cardinals leading the Orioles 1-0. Sidney Ponson to face J.D. Drew, Thomas Howard, and Eli Marrero, the catcher. Bottom 3 in the lineup. The Cardinals leading 1-0 on back-to-back doubles by Edgar Renteria and Rick McGuire back in the first inning. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike to count to J.D. Drew.
Drew, one of those Cardinal players that had a real tough season. Again, we mentioned Eric Davis and Ray Langford. All below par seasons are what the Cardinals had been hoping for. So there's a lot of optimism as this season gets prepared to open, that they're all healthy and back and will contribute.
Drew, of course, was drafted by the Phillies. First player in the draft a couple of years ago. He would not sign. They went back into the draft and was picked on the 5th selection in the first round by the Cardinals. A lot of people are upset with J.D. Drew not signing.
Especially the Philadelphia people when he arrived.
This is Albert Bellenwright coming in now. He makes the catch. 1 away. J.D. Drew flies to right field.
You can see the effect of the wind. Blew that ball back a good 20 feet. First thing pitchers do when they get up in the morning, it's that their day to pitch. Just check that wind direction. Blowing in, you can be a little bit more aggressive out over the plate. Blowing out, you have to be a lot more careful.
Here's Thomas Howard switching the outfielder. Swings and fouls the first one off, 0-1. Howard started his big league career with San Diego. He's been with Cleveland, Cincinnati, Houston, Los Angeles, and now St. Louis. So he's toured the big leagues.
More clubs than Arnold Palmer. Like more suitcases, too.
1 ball and 1 strike to Thomas Howard, who is playing in right field today. He's now 35 years old. Bondson's 1-1. Wrapped on the ground to Delano to Shields. He'll play it to Will Clark, 2 away.
Well, this is what spring training is for. You saw the first inning. Ponzone retired the first 2 and had a little lapse going through Renteria, McGuire, and Langford before settling and striking out Tatis. He starts the second the same way, retiring the first 2.
If there's a weak spot for the St. Louis Cardinals, it has to be in catching, with the idea that none of their catchers can hit.
I never really cared much for that. They can catch is all I cared about.
Herrera had thyroid cancer a couple of years ago. He's come back from that, but batted only 192 last year. Cardinals have added Mike Feeney as a backup catcher at the suggestion of Pat Henkin, who was with him in Toronto.
To me, good catchers are invaluable, and I actually think the loss of Joe Girardi went to the Cubs over the offseason is going to hurt the Yankees more than people think. He was really the main handler of that staff. Again, I would always take a defensive catcher who hits a little bit over one that hits a lot and doesn't catch very well. You need that confidence factor with your catcher to believe in the signals that he puts down, that he's able to control the running game. He can get you through games when you don't have your best stuff. Those catchers are invaluable.
A lot of times fans forget the defensive part of the game.
I'd rather keep a run off the board than have to worry about adding one to it.
And Herrera comes through with a base hit to center field. Third hit for St. Louis. I guess you can hear the wind blowing up in our microphones going through here. I mean, I'm hearing it in my headset. It's a very windy day here in Fort Lauderdale. 1-0 Cardinals. Top of the second inning, 2 out. Back to the top of the order for Eric Davis, who's the DH and struck out to lead things off.
I believe it's his first at-bats of the spring.
He was supposed to miss practically the entire spring training just to have him ready for the season.
Well, I believe he's playing with a torn rotator cuff in his right shoulder.
Davis made a couple of game-saving catches for Jose Jimenez, who pitched the no-hitter for St. Louis last year.
And that was the decision the Orioles made just a little over a year ago now. Davis wanted a 2-year contract. And the Cardinals gave Eric Davis a 2-year deal. And Eric broke down and really effectively season down June 29th. And it really has been the story of his career.
Well, he battled cancer when he was with the Orioles.
Had a marvelous season the year after.
Wrapped on the ground with Cal, who waits for the hop and throws out Eric Davis. No runs, a base hit, 1 left. After an inning and a half, it's 1-0 St.
Louis. Concrete repair project. Choose the ultimate concrete repair product. Repair or resurface chipped or worn concrete with
Fort Lauderdale Stadium. Tom Davis together with Mike Flanagan, where the Cardinals lead the Orioles 1-0 after an inning and a half here in Fort Lauderdale, after Edgar Renteria and Mark McGuire had back-to-back doubles in the first inning for the run. It's a beautiful day, 86 degrees, nice wind. And a lot of people are down from Baltimore, including some advertising people. I want to mention everybody that came down to watch this game. There are big HTS sponsors. Barbara Patz and Stanford Hess from Antwerp and Motors. Mark Goldstrom from Sac Creek. Jane Goldstrom, who works for the agency that has Popeye's Chicken. Greg Bomer from Rosecroft Raceway, along with Mary Maney. Paul Cohen from the agency for Icelandic Air. And Bill Balmonto from State Farm Insurance. Big crowd, nice dinner last night. Everybody was real happy when they left.
I'll leave it alone. I want to say about the dinner comment.
Albert Bell, Harold Baines, and Cal Ripken to face Ken Bottenfield here in the bottom of the second inning. And the Orioles trailing by a run. Fernando Tatis takes the belt high and throws out Albert Bell. 1 pitch and 1 away here in the second inning.
What'd you have last night?
Wonderful filet mignon.
Nothing but the best.
Little Caesar salad.
Nice. Nice.
And for dessert, chocolate ice cream.
Oh. I knew it was coming sooner or later.
Can't forget the ice cream.
No.
Here's the hitman, Harold Baines. He could get a base hit in his sleep. Out of play, 0-1.
He really is amazing. Terrific season last year. Ended up on the All-Star team. And over to the Cleveland Indians late in the year. And back again this spring.
25 home runs, 103 RBIs last season. His best year since 1985. The center fielder, J.D. Drew, runs that one down. 2 out. Baines gave it a nice ride.
So that wind just holds it up just a little bit. Time for Drew to run underneath it.
Less than 2 weeks to opening day, 13 days. Cal Ripken 9 hits away from 3,000. The Orioles are home the first week of the season, so hopefully he'll get to 9 while they're home.
Well, that's what he was saying, too, and the reason being that means they get off to a good start. Talking with Terry Crowley about Cal, he just says, you know, if you didn't know he had the back surgery last winter, you would never know. It's the way he's approached this spring.
He missed 76 games last year, which has to be one of the biggest oddities in the history of baseball with all those games he played consecutively.
And how well he played when he was healthy.
.340 average, 18 home runs. Hit his 400th home run. Tatis waits. Flying across the diamond to Mark McGuire. And the Orioles go 1-2-3 in the second inning. After 2, it's St. Louis 1, the Orioles nothing. Is that Eddie Murray's brother?
Shades look good.
Looks like Eddie in the 70s.
I don't want to see a picture of myself in the 70s either.
You did have some long hair.
Oh, stop it.
Fernando Vina.
I had hair.
We all suffer from that. Fernando Vina, Edgar Renteria, and Mark McGuire here, the second, third, and fourth hitters in Tony La Russa's lineup to face Sidney Ponson with the Orioles trailing by 1. 0-2 the count now to Fernando Vina, who flied to left.
Alan Ponzone today, opening day, be just 23 years of age. Worked hard over the winter. Spent a lot of that time in Baltimore.
Shortstop Bordick in front of the bag at second. A beautiful pick up and throw to retire Fernando Vina. Nice play, Mike Bordick. Become routine, though, for Bordick, hasn't it?
Well, when you watch him day in and day out, I think he's underestimated around baseball. But you could even see Ponzone pull back and let the ball go because you know it's going to end up in Bordick's glove.
Now, I was talking with the Orioles third base coach Sam Perlazzo the other day about Bordick because he hits him a lot of ground balls before the game. And he says Bordick's got this routine that when he changes where he wants the ball hit to him in practice before the game, he just gives him a little head bob. In other words, like if he wants him hit to the glove side, he takes the head, just moves a little bit to the left. Not any like direction with a glove or anything like that, just a little slant.
Well, Sam Perlazzo has a terrific relationship with all the infielders. That's his group, and that's who he is in charge of. A lot of respect going in both directions.
Edgar Renteria doubled and scored the game's only run as St. Louis leads at 1-0 here in the top of the third. Too tight. 2 balls and a strike to the shortstop of the St. Louis Cardinals, Edgar Renteria. Edgar Renteria led the Cardinals in games played last year, at-bats, hits, doubles, sacrifice flies, and stolen bases. So he's a complete package. Out at the plate, count stays at 2-2.
Well, was rewarded with a nice 4-year deal for those efforts. And they figure you'll see a lot of fastballs hitting in front of McGuire, which has always had that little look over to see who was on deck.
Outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Edgar Renteria. Cardinals have some youth in Renteria and Fernando Vina and Fernando Tatis now.
Well, last season they ended up 75 and 86. 21 games out.
Pass ripped and Bordigan into left field for a base hit for Edgar Renteria. Sharply hit. Found the hole and went right straight through it.
Well, that's how you pitch your way through the lineup. With McGuire on deck, you go 3-2. Throw a fastball down the middle, take a chance, and he gets a base hit.
Here's Mark McGuire, who drove this ball to the outfield and deep to provide the Cardinals with their only run. It lands on the base of the warning track.
You can hear the sound the ball makes coming off McGuire's bat. Actually, Sidney probably pretty lucky didn't get under that pitch. 2-0 fastball.
Oh, another one of those poppers.
You hear it, that's for sure.
Mark McGuire is averaging 64 home runs over the last 3 years. First player in the history of baseball to have 50-plus home runs in 4 consecutive seasons.
I guess he's the only one to have 70, right?
Right. 65 last year. 135 over 2 is not bad.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Truly one of the nice people of baseball, Mark McGuire. McGuire hits and back to the parking lot. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I think one of the alarming things for the American League right now, at least as a fan, that bothers me a little bit, is that McGuire, who used to play for Oakland, is no longer in the American League. Griffey Jr., who used to play for Seattle, is no longer in the American League. And it seems like...
And Sosa, too, right?
Yeah, he was in, well, before he became a star, was in the American League.
Oh, he was with the Cubs. I mean, the White Sox.
And with Texas, actually, when he began his career. But, you know, that's kind of tough on the American League when you think about some of the real prime names.
You won't hear any of the pitchers complaining.
Just me.
Just you.
Here's another interesting stat on McGuire. In 359 games in St. Louis, he's hit 159 home runs. Shields to first, and McGuire grounds into an inning-ending double play. After 2.5, St. Louis leads the Orioles 1-0.
Up on the web, huh? And you're getting
13 days before opening day. The Orioles in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Tom Davis together with Mike Flanagan. The Cardinals leading the Orioles 1-0, headed to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. And joining us now is the Orioles Vice President of Baseball Operations, Sid Thrift. He's right behind us here, folks. We don't have enough room in our room. What do you think?
Just where we like you to be, right over our shoulders.
Right over our shoulders. Okay.
As we take a look at Will Clark coming up the plate for the first time, he gets a base hit to center field. Sid, what do you think of spring training this year for the Orioles?
Well, we've had a great spring, Tom. I think Mike Hargrove came here with his coaching staff 3 days early, got highly organized, very effective, very efficient, went to work. And this has a positive effect on the players because the players know right away, Mike knows as a player, they know right away when the person's in charge. And I think that's the most important thing. Number 1, he's in charge. Number 2 is they can trust him. And number 3, they respect him. Those 3 things happen instantaneously.
How much does having the credentials that Hargrove help? I mean, the fact that he played in the big leagues for more than 10 years, 5 division titles, 2 World Series. I mean, even the resume is excellent.
Credibility always counts. There's nothing that beats a successful track record, and you don't come by those things just coincidentally or accidentally.
Watching Ken Bottenfield facing Charles Johnson with Will Clark on at first base. There's a ball lifted deep to left field. Left fielder Langford back on the warning track, and it's over his head, bounces up against the wall. Clark all the way around from first base. He'll score the tying run, and checking in at second base with an RBI double is Charles Johnson to tie this game up at 1.
That was hit against the wind, too, in Wrigley Field. They blew that wind all the way down from Wrigley Field to Fort Lauderdale today.
The truth.
As the players call it, against the traffic, into the wind. And that's the kind of spring really Charles Johnson has had. He's had a terrific spring with the bat. Talking with Terry Crowley before the game, and Clark got one terrific jump. He was all the way around second base, even when he wasn't sure that ball was going to get caught or not. It's a nice base running by Clark.
So here's Eugene Kingsale. Ryan Pittman, a lot of people bunts. Fernando Tatis comes up with it. Johnson goes down to third, and Kingsale does the nice thing of advancing. Charles Johnson to third now with one out.
That's good baseball in any league because, you know, you got that winning run right now. We call it the winning run. That's your second run.
The thing is that with Kingsale's speed, he can bunt right into the defense. They can know he's bunting and still make it close. And look how far in that Tatis was. He only beats it by Kingsale by a step or two. So it puts pressure on the infield defense when you have speed like Kingsale's. And the net result is you end up with a runner on third and less than 2 outs to the top of your order.
And back to the top of the order with Rich Amaral, who walked to lead things off for the Orioles in the bottom half of the first inning. If you just tuned in, it's 1-1, the Orioles and the St. Louis Cardinals. First of 5 straight to be televised by HTS from Fort Lauderdale, 13 days before opening day. Which is outside for ball 1. We're speaking with Sid Thrift, the Vice President of Baseball Operations for the Orioles. And Sid, the injury factor to Scott Erickson, where is he now in his comeback?
Well, all of us who know Scott knows he's the most determined, tough guy you want to meet. He's worked diligently to prove the doctors all to be wrong. Because if you set a date, he wants to beat that date. Our biggest job really is to make sure he doesn't try to do too much too soon.
Well, I guess that you know the status of Brady Anderson and B.J. Surhoff at this time.
Yes. Brady Anderson is going to the minor league complex tomorrow to play and lead off 9 innings. So that's why he's going there to get the timing back to being at bat for B.J. Surhoff. I believe it's supposed to DH tomorrow night.
Of course, that'll be when the Orioles play the Mets up in Port St. Lucie. That's an evening game on HTS. 1 run, 4 hits for St. Louis, 1 run and 2 hits for the Orioles. Bottom of the third inning, Charles Johnson at third. 2 balls and a strike to Rich Amaral with 1 out. Ken Bottomfield ready to deliver. Miss, 3 balls and 1 strike.
He doesn't miss by much. I was sitting behind home plate. You got to get your fine ruler to see how far that was off, probably half an inch.
telling it right there.
Well, the umpires need to get in shape, too. They're used to seeing pitches consistently over the outside corner.
Well, see, he got even that time. That was about 3 inches outside.
An umpire would never get even, would they?
No, they just even up themselves.
Hey, man, Ricky Valley now.
So, Sid, how do you feel about this club now? 13 days away from opening day, under 500 the last 2 years.
Well, I feel like definitely we're much better team, a 500 team. I think the main thing is, number 1, to stay healthy, and number 2, I believe, is to stay focused and be committed to winning above everything else. And I think once those things happen, things always get better. Because each player gets better. The young players are 1 year older. Ponsone's 1 more year of experience. All those things are big factors, as you know. So I think we've got a lot of good things coming.
How about with like Bell and Timlin, their second go around, Charles Johnson, their second year with the ball club? How much does that help the team, having them here for more than 1 season?
Well, I've always noticed it takes about at least a month or 2 for any player going from 1 league to another league to get adjusted to where he is, because first thing to do, they think in their mind prove to their teammates, their new teammates, that they really are as good as they're supposed to be. It's a lot of pressure on them, and so I think that pressure days are over, and I think that's very, very important.
1 ball and no strikes to count. Bottomfield checking everybody. Heavy winds today. It's about 86 degrees in Fort Lauderdale. The Orioles and the St. Louis Cardinals. 1-1, bottom of the third inning. Two balls and no strikes to Mike Bordick, who flied to right field, his only trip to the plate. Take a check of the runners. There's Charles Johnson at third, and Rich Amaral over at first, being guarded there by Mark McGuire. There's a strike call. 2 balls and 1 strike. We've read a lot about Mike Messina and the contract talks. How are they progressing?
I feel like I think they're progressing very well. You know, like they say, though, nothing is done till it's done, and nothing is finished till it's finished. So I will certainly be happy when that day arrives.
Well, Sid, how important would it be to get Messina signed before opening day, or is there of importance?
I think it's important to get Mike Messina signed today.
Well, I mean, is there a target date, you know, that
No,
let's get it done?
I don't think so. I didn't mean to give you a smart answer, but that's my...
I was going to say, let's go down there and talk to him right now, then.
Yeah, we just go down there and take the pen. Let's go. Mike, that's your first assignment.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Mike Bordick. Field likes to do that double check of third and first. Do you anticipate a deal happening before opening day?
I hope so. I mean, I can say that. And so it's hard for me to predict what people think, you know, in the process of negotiating. I'm not that smart. I just confess it immediately.
Bordick fouled out him at the plate. So Amaral will have to go back to first, and the count will stay at 2-2.
I know this much. We know how important Mike Messina is, and Mike Messina wants to be in Baltimore. So we have a lot of things in common that we think are very, very important. And it's nothing like having that #1 pitch on your team, because that's a preventer of losing streaks. And I think Ponson will develop, and I think Erickson will come back, and all these young pitchers will get better.
Lifted down the left field line. The left fielder Langford coming over in foul ground.
This will be interesting.
Near the seats, and it goes into the stands.
Again, the effect of the wind.
You know, coming back to Mike Hargrove, everybody talks about his record winning. But I think this is important. I can remember when he had bad teams, and I learned something from Mr. Rickey many years ago. Someone asked him how good a manager was. He said, well, he didn't know because he'd never seen him with a bad team. and as I'm sitting with Jim Leland down there, and I said, well, that's when I knew I had a good manager, because that team we had in 1986 was terrible. It was so bad I hate to go see him play myself.
Mr. Honest.
Well, I said that openly, so we did something about it. We changed the team.
Sid, how about the bullpen? Now, everybody talked about the problems it had over the first half of last year, and then Timlin obviously improved with 18 saves in the last 19 attempts over the second half. But you know, you signed Trombley, pitches outside, 3-2 now. You signed Trombley as a free agent. What does he do for the bullpen?
Well, we had him in our sights right from the very beginning, from last winter. And if you recall, he was the first free agent signed. We went right after him immediately because he gave us 2 things. He gave us a proven, successful setup man and also a closer. So if Mike got in a jam, he wants to flip-flop for a game or 2, he's got 2 of them. So you can't have enough.
Bordick walks. That'll load the bases. 3 walks now by Bottenfield. So Charles Johnson's on at third, Amaral at second, and Bordick at first. 1 run is in the inning on an RBI double by Charles Johnson. The game is tied at 1. McGuire doubled in the St. Louis run in the first inning. And here's Delino DeShields, who hit into a double play, but has had a terrific spring. A lot of talk about Delino DeShields, you know, going into spring training. I mean, would he be the starting second baseman, or would you trade him, or what was going to go on there?
Well, you know, now he can play 2 positions. We found that out. He can play center field. And I think he's really enjoying himself because I think he's 100% healthy. You know, it's very difficult to play baseball when you're healthy, but when you're not healthy, it's really a problem. And I think the mental part is much better. The physical talent's always been there.
When you look at the numbers that he provides with steals and triples and extra base hits, it certainly can be a factor causing havoc to the other team.
Yeah, speed is a very difficult thing to put in a slump. I'd like to have more fast guys.
You're right. No balls and 2 strikes to Delino DeShields with 1 out in the inning. That ball hit deep to right center field. Way back on the warning track. It could clear the bases. Charles Johnson scores. Amaral scores, and down to third is Bordick on a 2-run double by Delino DeShields to give the Orioles a 3-1 lead here in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
You know, you talk as a pitching coach, Mike. Here's a veteran pitcher. 0-2 count. Cardinals sin. Throws a breaking ball, hangs right over the middle of the plate. and it's a double. And if the win hadn't been
you're right.
it would have been a grand slam.
This was Camden Yards. That's a grand slam. That's the kind of at-bats that DeShields has had all spring. Ball's really been jumping. As you said, he's 100% healthy. Attitude is great.
So the Orioles with 2 doubles in the inning that have produced 3 runs, and Bell hits one in the air. Then McGuire's tracking on the foul grounds off the first base side, and Mark makes the catch. 2 out as Bell fouls out to the first baseman, Mark McGuire. RBI double for Charles Johnson, a 2-run double for Delino DeShields, and Mark McGuire has an RBI double for the Cardinals. 3-1 Orioles, with the Orioles continue batting here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Oh, and Bottenfield's not out of it yet.
You're right, he's not, because as Senior Charles Harold Baines, the Dean of St. Michael's, Maryland.
He lined to center his only trip to the plate. The Orioles get wrapped on one thing about the age of the ball club. What do you think about age as far as Major League Baseball is concerned, players?
Well, I think age is old when you lose, and when you win, it's experienced. So I'm hoping and praying that all of us who are supposed to be too old, when they look back at the year 2000, they say, well, those guys really were experienced.
I think if we look at it like we've got some young old guys and some old young guys. I know I talked to Messina about this, and I hope the kids can keep up with some of our older guys.
That's true.
But I think if you take the average age of the rotation, the way it's set, with Erickson in it, the average age is probably 26, 27. Messina's in his prime. Erickson's just a little over 30. Jason Johnson and Ponzone at 23. Pat Rapp, it's a young rotation. Compare that age to the Yankee rotation. The thing is, the Orioles' elder statesmen, those are the guys that play every day.
Correct. Sherhoff played every day last 2 years.
Baines had his best year since '85 last year.
That's amazing.
And Cal, despite the injuries and the missing of the time, hit for his highest average ever.
So his experience.
Tough to get Bordick out of the lineup. He works harder when you give him a day off, so he said we might as well play him.
Well, you know, these fellows spend 365 days conditioning, so that's really a very important factor, because I think age is a relative thing, especially when people are in tip-top condition.
Sid, I know I shouldn't ask you this question with 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs in the inning, but a quick synopsis of the American League East.
Well, it's always going to be a very tough division. It's an improved division. I think that the good news is it's kind of like a benchmark. It helps all of baseball, because the best teams really keep the standards up, and you have to fight and compete to try to get into playoffs or win a division. It's really a tough division, and I think that's good. Of course, the way the realignment divisions are going to be changing.
2-2 to Baines, just missed 3.
That's a half-inch outside.
There it is. Well, Bottenfield's that type of pitcher. He needs to keep the ball in the corners. Needs to work in positive counts.
Ball 4, that'll load him up. So we got now Bordick at third, DeShields at second, Baines at first.
Remember, this is the first runs that Bottenfield has given up all spring, and not allowed an earned run.
He's given up 3 hits and 4 walks in this game in less than 3 innings.
It's been the control that has deserted him more this inning, and pitching in poor counts. We talk about counts a lot.
Jeff Conine will pinch run now for Harold Baines at first base. And Cal Ripken, who grounded the third to end the second inning, gets a chance now with the bases loaded. 3-1 Orioles, bottom of the third inning, 2 out. Ball 1. Next pitch will be number 50 for Ken Bottenfield.
And usually they're on 5 innings, and the pitch count usually is around 75 at this time of the spring. But no action in the Cardinals bullpen. That's the thing about the spring. You know, if you don't have your act together, you're having a bad day, and you're supposed to throw 75 pitches. And you've seen some of the box scores in the morning. Some of them can get pretty ugly. You're out there to get to work. The saying is, you might as well get them out if I have to be out there.
A lot of 16 and 17 run games.
Like I said, it shows you what control means. Randy Johnson, you know, what did he give up, 11 in the game the other day?
9-7 seems like to be the common denominator.
It does seem to be this spring. And you can look at the box score, and 4 pitchers will have thrown shutouts, and one will give up 8.
Yeah.
You know?
2-1 to Cal. Out of play, 2-2.
Well, a lot of that, some of that really is 2 or 3 things going on. You have a lot of young players, and they get the games later in the ball game. Sometimes they perform with excellence, and sometimes they perform as rookies.
Well, that's why it's so difficult to put any sort of significance to wins and losses in the spring, because if the games are close late, that's usually when you have the kids in. You make sure that the everyday or your regular players get their work. Your closer may pitch in the 6th inning to make sure he works.
Right, 3. Cal Ripken strikes out with the bases loaded. We want to thank Sid Thrift for being with us, the executive vice president of baseball operation for the Orioles. The Birds scored 3, and they lead St. Louis 3-1 after 3 here in Fort Lauderdale. Sidney Ponzano face Ray Langford, Fernando Tatis, and J.D. Drew as the Orioles get ready to face the Cardinals here in the top of the 4th inning.
And there's your plane. Was that Jim Palmer coming in to do the last half of the game?
Why not?
Just buzzed into town?
Langford walked in the 1st inning. Cardinals had back-to-back 2-out doubles from Edgar Renteria and Mark McGuire for their run in the 1st inning off of Sidney Ponzano. 1 strike to count.
Different uniform. Last week the Mets were in town. Orozco part of the Mets, and just recently the Cardinals have acquired Jesse Orozco.
It's like the Mets had so many left-handers, they have almost an entire bullpen of left-handers.
So the second time in a week Orozco would face the Orioles. Didn't fare real well in his last outing. Wayne Kirby hit a home run. Orozco got the loss. Cardinals gave up Joe McEwing for Orozco. Pretty good player.
He turned out to be a very good player last year with all the injuries they had.
Well, anybody with MC, you know, starting your name off has to have a good year for the Cardinals. I changed my name. Be McFlanagan, McEwing, and McGuire. And you'd have to do the game as McDavis.
Why not? Fouled. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's Jim McKay.
Jim McKay, Steve Jeppy. A lot of the Oriole ownership in town over the last few days.
One ball and 2 strikes to Ray Langford. 2-2. Langford was a career center fielder for St. Louis until they gave the position to J.D. Drew and moved him over to left field. Very good player for them since the early 90s.
He's kind of overlooked with McGuire in the lineup.
A lot of guys get overlooked. Tatis with 34 home runs got overlooked.
Yeah, not by management, though. Rewarded with another nice contract. Really emerged last year as a future star.
Hit high and deep to right field. Albert Bell just turns and watches it go to the bleachers for a home run for Ray Langford. And the Cardinals get one back and trail 3-2.
Now, this is something Ponzano has wanted to work on in the spring. Last year allowed 35 homers, tied Robin Roberts for the most home runs allowed by an Oriole in a season. And this ball ends up down and in, and that is Langford's zone. Watch how quickly the head of the bat gets to it. And that golf swing. The wind not a factor. He was watching that one early on.
As they say, no doubt about it. A one-hopper to Mike Bordick by Tatis. I'll throw to Will Clark. One away. Tatis grounds to short. As we look at Jesse Orozco there. Here's the Time Bridge trivia question of the day. What franchise originally drafted pitcher Jesse Orozco?
Well, I wouldn't say McDonald's. McDonald's hasn't been around that long.
I actually know the answer to that.
Oh, of course you do. You're 1 for 1 already.
We'll wait a while on that, though. J.D. Drew with a foul at the plate. 0-1 the count. Drew fly to right field to start things off in the second inning.
Drew already has the reputation as a dead fastball hitter first time up. Ponzone retired him on a curveball, and the first pitch in this at-bat is another curveball.
One hopper to Will Clark, who makes a nice pickup and run to the bag, and that's the out. Three sharply hit balls in this inning.
On the ground is fine, though. A lot of leather in that infield. Will Clark says he feels fine. Another one of the Oriole infielders we told you missed a lot of games last year. Had those bone chips removed from his elbow. Feeling fine, is in great shape. Talking to Terry Crowley, thinks he'll have a big year, especially even starting out of the gate. He feels real good about Bordick and Will Clark, Shields, a number of the Oriole hitters as we wind down here in spring training.
Thomas Howard facing Sidney Ponzone with 2 out in the top of the 4th inning. Howard had grounded to second in his only trip to the plate. Down the left field line and foul grounds. In the seats. You know, you mentioned about the disabledness. I know just reading about the Orioles, it didn't really dawn on me last year when the season was progressing, but Cal was on the disabled list twice, DeShields 3 times, and Clark twice. You know, that was a lot of missed games.
Sure was. You know, you pretty much had Albert Bell and Surhoff play every game in the outfield, and Brady played a lot.
Bordick.
Charles Johnson caught long stretches behind the plate.
DeShields could not get to it, and the ball goes into center field for a base hit. Thomas Howard with a single to center.
See that ball just pick up overspin and just blow right past DeShields.
Sort of took a higher hop than I think he thought.
And I'm not sure he would have had a play even if he had caught it. Howard still with good speed.
Here's catcher Eli Marrero. Single to center field in the second inning. Too tight. Well, they call it a strike.
Spring training, Tom. Get used to it.
1-1 the count.
Should have seen it here about 2 weeks ago when teams would show up with 30 or 40 players to play. It's hard to keep track.
Up the middle. DeShields behind the bag, under it, toss to Mike Bordick, and out at second base is Thomas Howard. Nice play by DeShields and Bordick to accomplish the third out. After 3.5, the Orioles lead the Cardinals 3-2.
This field was really covered for about a day and a half. We had the game rained out here 2 days ago.
That's still a funny story.
That's a whole other story.
I will tell you about that in a minute, but Mark McGuire's up right now. Double in a run and grounded into a double play.
So this is when you have to push yourself if you're Sidney Ponzone. You know you've got a couple outs away from being out of this, a nice outing, and you have to face the big fella. The difference between leaving, I guess, the ballpark with a positive feeling or a negative the next couple of at-bats.
McGuire with a drive deep to right center. Bell back near the warning track, and it makes the reaches for a 3-run homer for Mark McGuire. The Cardinals lead it 5-3.
As I just said. So instead of finish the inning cleanly, we talked about maybe Ponzone getting away with the pitch up and out over the plate. This time he does not. Almost an identical pitch to the first inning. Watch this short, compact stroke, and like we said, the wind doesn't matter.
think anybody that came here to see Mark McGwire was probably hoping to see that happen. I mean, he has become baseball's most dominating home run hitter.
Well, he's taken a lot of those up and out of the plate pitches deep the last couple of seasons.
135 home runs over the last 2 years, 70 and then 65. And now he hits a 3-run homer. He's driven in 4 of the 5 Cardinal runs today.
Do you see the difference that big 3 on the scoreboard makes psychologically to Ponzone? A couple outs, he's out of here with a 3-2 lead. He said he'll look in the paper tomorrow and see at least 7 hits and 5 runs in 5 innings. This won't look as good.
Langford, who has a 1-1 count on him, hit a home run in the 4th inning for Ponzone. 1-2 now in the count to Ray Langford.
It's amazing. When spring training starts, you can actually see starting pitchers tire in the 3rd, or the deliveries fall apart, and then as it goes along in the 5th, and then later in the 7th. And all that is to get you timed and ready for opening day.
Shallow center field. Kingsale and Amaral. Kingsale's calling everybody off and makes the catch. 2 out in the inning as Ray Langford flies to center. Here's Fernando Tatis. Struck out, grounded to short. Foul down the third base side. Press box. Came out.
You didn't even flinch. You're not even game ready or something.
No, I could tell it was way to the left of me, but it came back like a shot.
Jim would have been to the table. Remember that night? You love that.
And I'm counting him out.
Right. Mandatory 8 count.
I was just trying to tell the cameraman, he's down, he's down. Tatis strikes out to end the 5th inning, but not before McGwire hits a 3-run homer to give the Cardinals a 5-3 lead halfway through today's game here in Fort Lauderdale. Well, the St. Louis Cardinals have just taken a 5-3 lead over the Orioles in the top of the 5th inning on a 3-run homer by Mark McGwire. McGwire finishes the day with 4 RBIs and has been relieved at first base now by Larry Sutton. So that's the only defensive change by the Cardinals so far. Larry Sutton at first. And the Cardinals bring in another new pitcher. Looks like they're going to go 1 inning at a time as Garrett Stevenson, a one-time Oriole farmhand, comes in to pitch.
Yeah, 1 year the recipient of the Jim Palmer Award at one time. Maybe the prize of the minor league system. Went on to Philadelphia for a couple of seasons and was traded for Ron Gant in '98. Pitched well in the minor leagues. Came up last year and did pretty well for the Cardinals before running out of steam at the end of the year.
The Orioles put him in as part of a deal that got Todd Zeile and Pete Incaviglia to Baltimore in that '96 stretch run.
That's right. Still just 25 years of age, 6'5", about 210.
Bottom of the 5th inning, 5-3 St. Louis over the Orioles. Mike Bordick has flied to right and walked. 1 ball and no strikes to the Orioles shortstop. Bordick probably takes in the vicinity of 100 to 200 ground balls each night before a game. He's never tired of fielding ground balls practicing. Loves doing it. Very dedicated.
Garrett Stevens was born in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Went to Boonesboro High, graduated in 1990. Now makes his home in Boise, Idaho.
Outside to Mike Bordick, 3 balls and 1 strike. Ball 4 to Mike Bordick. Stevenson gets off to a somewhat slow start here, walking the Orioles shortstop. That'll bring up Delano DeShields. Stevenson last year with the St. Louis was 6-3. Started 12 of his 18 appearances. And an earned run average of 4.2. Had a pretty good strikeout to walk ratio, 59 strikeouts, 29 walks.
Really has bounced around the last couple of seasons, but appeared to reestablish himself. But I think with all the new starters that the Cardinals have brought in, probably looking at a long man out of the bullpen job.
Delano DeShields came through with a 2-run double to put the Orioles on top 3-1 in a 3-run third inning. Earlier in that inning, Charles Johnson had doubled in the Orioles' first run. DeShields earlier had a double play ground ball, so he's 1 for 2. Vina to Renteria to get the force at second, and DeShields is safe at first. Fielder's choice, second to short. Retires Bordick and puts the Shields at first base. Albert Bell has twice first ball hit today. He's rounded to third and fouled out to first.
Oh, didn't Vina and Bell get tangled up a couple of years back on the base pass?
That's right, in Milwaukee.
That's right. Bell was still a member of the Indians then, wasn't he, or was he with the White Sox?
I think it was with the White Sox.
Yeah.
But you're right, on a slide at second base, I think it wasn't it? Strike to Albert
find
Bell.
that out for you.
Bell with 37 home runs last year for the Orioles. This ball's hitting in the middle of the diamond, and everybody's just going to let it drop. They're going to, let's see what's going to happen here. They're going to throw to second and get Jerry Hairston, who was pinch running for DeShields, and safe at first base is going to be Albert Bell. So Bell, on what turns out to be a fielder's choice, is on at first base. Hairston, who was pinch running for DeShields, is out on the force at second.
Very tough sky. You can see everyone concerned, nobody taking charge. It is the pitcher's really responsibility to be the traffic cop. He's waiting for Stevenson to call out somebody because it's right there in no man's land. Catcher really doesn't want him. See the third baseman back up in case the runner is going, and Stevenson just standing there helplessly. The pitcher really is the last one you want to catch the ball, so he becomes the traffic cop.
And Wayne Kirby now pinch runs for Albert Bell. Here's Jeff Conine making his first trip to the plate. Harold Baines was in there earlier as the DH, line to center and walk. Conine was a pinch runner for Baines back in the third inning.
Conine, a valuable asset to the Orioles last year.
Signed a new 2-year contract with a club option for a 3rd year.
That's how highly they felt of Jeff Conine, who started the season as the projected pinch hitter off the bench, and look at the numbers. He really was over 300 most of the season to a late tail off. 75 RBIs out of someone you expected to pinch hit for you. Get a lot of playing time when Will Clark went down at first base, played some outfield, did a nice job defensively and offensively. Got some big hits.
Early in spring training, he was taking some ground balls at third. And Mike Hargrove trying to come up with more versatility with some of his players, like DeShields playing some center. Kind of a miss.
I mean, he'll see time as a right-handed DH, maybe against a tough left-handed starter. He'll see some time at third base, we think. Also at first base, and he can also give you a break in the outfield. So he always has the good bat. And frankly, he's a much better defensive player than I thought he was.
Pitch is outside the throw to second on the steal attempt by Kirby. Goes in the dirt and a stolen base for Wayne Kirby.
Well, part is that 6'5" frame of Garrett Stevenson. Very slow to the plate. A nice jump. It's very difficult to be quick when you're 6'5". Has to hurry his throw to make up for lost time, and a good jump.
Kirby at second, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Jeff Conine, 2 out, bottom of the 5th and a 5-3 Cardinal lead, and Conine lifts it in the air right side. Larry Sutton, the first baseman for the Cardinals in foul ground, makes the catch, and that'll do it through 5. But St. Louis leading the Orioles 5-3, and Gabe Molina expected to pitch the 6th. Sidney Ponson. McGuire with a towering fly ball. It goes to the bleachers, his 3rd exhibition home run. You hear that one fall on the bleachers. 3 home runs for McGuire. He drove in 4 with a double and a 3-run homer. The Cardinals have a 5-3 lead, and that is the Geico highlight. And defensive changes now for the Orioles, as you see Jerry Hairston at second. Right field, Wayne Kirby. And the Orioles have a new pitcher now on the hill with Gabe Molina. There's a ground ball, 1 hop to Jerry Hairston. And J.D. Drew retired 2nd to 1st by Gabe Molina.
Well, Molina's the guy you root for, certainly. So a little bit of a tough spring, you can see by the numbers, but more importantly, finding a pretty good groove the last couple of times out. Sure putting some extra pressure on himself to succeed here in the spring with possibly a right-handed longman position open in the bullpen, just 24 years of age.
Thomas Howard with a drive to center field. Eugene Kinsale holding everybody up and making the catch. So Howard flies to center field, and Molina gets 2 rather quickly here. Gabe Molina, born in Denver, still lives there. He was 1-2 with the Orioles last year in 20 games, but his earned run average was 6.6. But with Rochester, 2-2, 45 games and 18 saves there. So Molina trying to make the step on a full-time basis from AAA to the majors.
Yeah, did a real nice job in AAA as a closer. He really had a decent ERA in Baltimore. It was 3.60, but over his final 7 games, he really ran into some tough luck, and the ERA rose to 6.5. Worked on a forkball this spring. He has a fastball, slider, straight change. Very quiet, unassuming. As they describe him, sort of a bulldog on the mound, likes to compete.
Morero with a drive to left field, and off the top of the wall. The left field Almar plays it back in, and it will be a double for Eli Morero to catch it.
You can see the ball hit the left field. If it's low enough, really won't be impeded by the ball distance-wise, but it'll be blown towards the line. That one almost blew out of here. So sort of a crosswind. Slider stays on the inside part of the plate, and Morero just gets the head of the bat to it. And right there, Emerald just watch it ride over his head. Something else you won't see is pitchers running in the outfield during the season. On zone, helping him out and telling him where the warning track was.
Eric Davis with a hard ground ball through the legs of Will Clark and into right field. And around third and headed for home with a 6th run for the St. Louis Cardinals is Eli Morero, their catcher. So it's 6-3 St. Louis on an RBI single by Eric Davis.
This is sort of the story of Molina's spring training. Gets 2 quick outs and just can't get that 3rd one in the book. Fastball right down the middle. Eric Davis just hits it right through Will Clark.
Here's Fernando Vina. Fly to left, ground to the short, and walked. Left-handed batting second baseman acquired from the Milwaukee Brewers during the offseason. And Gabe Molina's first pitch, line to left center. Amaral over to the glove side, makes the catch. And the Cardinals are retired, but they score a run with 2 base hits. And after 5.5 here from Fort Lauderdale, St. Louis leads the Orioles 6-3. Right fielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, Sean Dunston, who's been around for a long time. Shortstop for the Cubs for many years. But now in right field replacing Thomas Howard.
Yeah, played with the Indians, had a Some real nice at-bats and some controversy in New York last year with the Mets.
Right field corner and foul on out of play. Cal Ripken grounded to third and struck out with the bases loaded. 6-3 St. Louis. The Orioles scored 3 in the third to grab a 3-1 lead on RBI doubles by Charles Johnson and a 2-1 double by Delano to Shields. Cal with a fly ball to left, and Langford has it in range. 1-1. Cardinals came back, though, getting a home run from Ray Langford and then a 3-run homer from Mark McGuire to lead it 6-3.
And McGuire's going to hit his home runs. Just like to minimize the damage, let them be solos. That's why it's so important to get the hitters out in front of McGuire.
Garrett Stevenson working his second inning for the Cardinals. Too tight. Ball 1 to Will Clark. Clark batting 7th in the lineup today has singled and fly to center. The fly out was off of Jesse Orozco in his only inning. Out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike to Will Clark.
Pretty good lineup when you get a hitter like Will Clark hitting 7.
That's true.
Not too bad. And again, I don't think the worry is the caliber of player they have. Staying healthy, and how much will the starting rotation miss Erickson, and for how long.
Strike to Will Clark. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, last year Scott Erickson had a terrific second half of the year, but he was 1-8 through, I think, May or early June.
Well, he was really reported to camp in terrific shape.
J.D. Drew out to play this one. Hopper. Will Clark gets his second base hit of the day. Earlier in the day, we asked the Time Ridge trivia question about Jesse Orozco. What franchise originally drafted pitcher Jesse Orozco?
I don't think I know. Do you know?
Twins.
Cardinals.
Really?
They didn't sign him.
Oh, I thought you meant the first professional.
Twins originally signed him, then he was traded to the Mets for Jerry Kuzma.
Right, I remember that one. I didn't know that. On my head all day on that one. I thought that was really an easy one.
That's pretty bad because you gave him the question.
Yeah. Charles Johnson, an RBI double plus a single, so he's 2 for 2.
As you were saying earlier, Charles Johnson just having a terrific spring. So he probably spent a long time early on the season. Last year, Charles had difficulty covering the outside part of the plate. He's rectified that situation.
Johnson didn't like that call. 1-2. I think what Charles Johnson did for the Orioles last year, curtailing base stealers, was probably one of the biggest turnarounds in the Orioles' history for a catcher.
No question. It was the lowest attempts against the Orioles in 20 years. Became a non-factor.
Johnson takes strike 3, and that'll bring up Eugene Kingsale.
I don't think Charles will be happy with this. Seen a little bit of a wide home plate.
Eugene, ball 1. Kingsale with a sacrifice and a fielder's choice. Sacrifice sort of helped set up that 3-run third for the Orioles after they had gotten a run in. Got Charles Johnson down to third after he doubled 1 in. 1 ball and 1 strike to Eugene Kingsale. Will Clark at first, 2 out. 6-3 St. Louis. Orioles batting bottom of the 6th inning. Mark McGuire with 4 RBIs, 3 on a home run, the other on a double. Ray Langford a home run for St. Louis. Foul away. The Orioles getting their 3 runs in a 3rd inning when doubles by Charles Johnson and a 2-run double by Delano to Shields. The Orioles found another option for Kingsdale during their winter work. They thought that he was out of options and found out that he was still sending back to the lineup one more time.
Yeah, I like Gene's attitude about it. He said, I just want to be as good as I can be.
Certainly is filling out. You know, he looked like a kid who was like a stick when he first came up.
No question, and he's gaining baseball experience.
Kingsdale strikes out, back-to-back strikeouts there for Stevenson, and after 6 now, it's St. Louis 6 and the Orioles 3. The Orioles, top of the 7th inning at Fort Lauderdale. Beautiful day, 85 degrees, nice breeze blowing, couldn't get any better. 13 days before opening day. Tom Davis and Mike Flanagan. The Orioles changing things around a little bit defensively once again. And the Cardinals are in the top of the 7th inning, sending up Edgar Renteria, Larry Sutton, and Ray Langford. Gabe Molina, the strike call. Renteria doubled, Singleton got on with an error. There's Jerry Hairston charging this one, throwing to Calvin Pickering, the new first baseman, retiring. Renteria. Here's a look at the new Orioles defense. Derek May in left field. Amaral goes from left to center. Kingsdale's out of the game. Kirby had replaced Albert Bell. Ryan Miner replaces Cal Ripken. Hairston had already been in there for DeShields. Pickering now at first base for Clark. The new catcher, Morales.
Yeah, young catcher Willie Morales behind the plate. He's pressed a lot of the Orioles staff in the spring.
Time of the year at spring training where you know you're going to have a scorecard that looks kind of messed up by the end of the game.
You're doing a pretty nice job.
A lot of scratching out. Larry Sutton relieved Mark McGuire at first base, but not before McGuire had an RBI double and a 3-run homer. In between, McGuire grounded into a double play. There's a strike to Larry Sutton. Fouled away. 2-2.
Jose Mercedes up and throwing in the Oriole pen. We assume he'll be in next inning.
A lot of the fans ought to really be wondering what Mercedes is like because he hasn't given up a run in 11 innings.
And he's pitched that well.
Trying to make the staff. Outside to Larry Sutton. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Hit hard to right center field. A base hit for Larry Sutton. Like he was going to try for 2, but Wayne Kirby came up with the ball nicely there in right field. Don't forget, this is the first of 5 telecasts in a row on HTS tomorrow night from Port St. Lucie against the Mets. Thursday was not on the schedule, but they've added that because of the rain out last Sunday against Boston. So then Friday against St. Louis again, and then Saturday. All afternoon games with the exception of tomorrow night against the New York Mets. All on HTS. This is Ray Langford. Hit a home run and 3 trips to the plate. It includes a walk and a fly out to center field. To the 4th inning now and take a look at what Langford did against Sidney Poncelli.
That dreaded down and in zone.
Leading off the 4th inning. 2nd run for St. Louis. Put him down 3-2 with that home run. Langford with 3 exhibition home runs.
The Cardinals 11-8 in the spring.
Orioles started out 9-7 today. Way outside. 2 balls and a strike. Ray Langford. The only position player for the Orioles that's still in the normal position we started with today is Bordick at shortstop. There's B.J. Surhoff. Hung outside. 3-1 now to Ray Langford. Ball 4. Gabe Molina. His first walk.
It just appears Molina's been missing high. Actually, most of the spring.
Started off by getting the first 2 hitters in the 6th inning. Then a double and a single by Eric Davis provided St. Louis with their 6th run, and then he got out of the jam there. And gives up a single and a walk with 1 out in the 7th inning. Gabe Molina, second of 3 pitchers to face St. Louis today. Sidney Ponson worked the first 5, gave up 7 hits, 5 runs, including 3-run homer to Mark McGwire and a solo to Ray Langford. Fernando Tatis has struck out twice and grounded to short. Third baseman of the Cardinals. Originally was with the Texas Rangers. Doug Melvin traded him over to St. Louis a couple of trading deadlines ago.
With Darren Oliver.
He's turned out to be a terrific player.
They felt he was a little inconsistent. I think he did make 15 errors last year at third base. But really blossomed offensively.
Only 4 of them came in the second half of the season, though, Mike, so they can improve. Wayne Kirby coming in, make the catch, second out. This copyright telecast is presented by authority of the Baltimore Orioles and CBS Cable and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Baltimore Orioles and CBS Cable.
Nice.
Heavy lawyer words in there. 2 away, and J.D. Drew. Runner at second is Larry Sutton. Ray Langford at first. 2 out. Top of the 7th inning. 6-3. St. Louis leading the Orioles. Tom Davis, Mike Flanagan. 13 days away from opening day. Birds in Cleveland.
It's coming quickly now. I figured it was their 33rd day today of spring training. How quickly it goes by. I think you had plenty of time to find your stroke and to find your delivery. And all of a sudden you look up and it's less than 2 weeks before the bell rings.
The 1-1 pitch to J.D. Drew. Calvin Pickering, a nice backhanded stop. Underhand flip to Molina, and they quickly retired J.D. Drew. The Cardinals are gone in the 7th. 7th inning stretch time here in Fort Lauderdale. The Cardinals lead the Orioles 6-3. Welcome back to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Tom Davis and Mike Flanagan. First exhibition game on HTS for this season. You see Brian McRae now in left field replacing Ray Langford. And also a new shortstop replacing Edgar Renteria as Placido Polanco. New shortstop for the Cardinals. And Garrett Stevenson's still working.
Oh, I told you, I think he's more of the long man type, a former starter.
The Orioles start things off here in the 7th inning with Rich Amaral, followed by Mike Bordick and then Jerry Hairston. Amaral has walked twice and struck out. One ball and 1 strike to Rich Amaral. The Orioles scored 3 times in the 3rd, getting an RBI double from Charles Johnson and a 2-run double from Delino DeShields. Mark McGwire knocked in 4, 3 on a home run, plus an RBI double. Ray Langford homered for another run, and Eric Davis drove in the 6th run for St. Louis. They lead it 6-3 with the Orioles batting in the bottom of the 7th inning. Larry Sutton will make the play at first base to retire Summerall. Amaral, excuse me, Summerall.
Pat Summerall. It's about time for some role in the game.
Luca at third base now for Tatis. He missed that one. Here's Mike Bordick, the only Oriole to play in every moment of this game. Bordick fly to right, walk twice. Now to Mike Bordick, and we understand that Sidney Ponson has got a headset on in the Orioles dugout.
Over here. A couple ice bags. There he is. What's up?
Not much. What's up?
Well, the one fastball to McGuire, you think?
Yeah. It's up and away. He's strong enough to hit it off the field, so.
He's hit a couple in his career so far.
Yeah, so I'm one of his victims.
How do you feel about your outing today?
I'm pretty happy about it. I was down in the zone most of the time. You know, I feel good. I'm strong, so. Like I said, Sammy told me it's only spring training. You just got your work in, so I'm looking forward to the next start.
You haven't put any pressure on yourself with Scotty Erickson going down and moving into the 2 slot?
Not really. I mean, I'm just getting my work done right now, and I'm going to judge myself in Atlanta to start before the season. So I'm looking forward for that start.
Bordick with a line drive base hit to left field. Ryan McRae will play it back in. So Bordick gets his first hit of the afternoon.
Nice.
You still there, Sidney?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
I know you also talked about working on your slider a little bit more today. It appeared you had a pretty good one, certainly early in the game.
Yeah, then I got away from me, but you know, it's a new grip. I guess I think I started throwing it too hard, and instead of like just try to throw it off the plate. But you know, like I said, I have like 3 or 4 more sidelines before the game for the season, so hopefully we'll get it done by then.
Was there a big difference between the 5th and the rest of the innings?
Yeah, I mean, it's my first time going 5 innings, so you know, I'm got a little bit fatigued. I ain't gonna lie about it. It's hot out there. It's getting really hot down here, so.
So you did tire a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, fastball was off with the last couple hitters, so you know, then I settled back down and ran back down in the zone.
How about Sammy Ellis? What has he meant to you as a pitching coach?
He's a great guy. I mean, he came in, he knew I was going through. He talked to me for like 5 minutes, calmed me down. You know, he said we talk tomorrow, and we're looking forward for tomorrow.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time being with us, Sidney.
No problem. Anytime.
All right. Jerry Hairston fly to left. Wayne Kirby now in for Albert Bell, making his first trip to the plate. He's been in there defensively and has a pinch runner earlier. 2 out, bottom of the 7th. St. Louis 6, the Orioles 3, and Wayne Kirby puts a little pop-up into shallow center field. It's like a triangle of 3 Cardinals there, and the shortstop, Polanka, makes the catch, and that's the side. 3-7, St. Louis leads the Orioles 6-3.
Attention, young men and women.
Doesn't get any better than this. Spring training baseball from Fort Lauderdale. Beautiful day, 85 degrees in Florida. Tom Davis, Mike Flanagan, the Cardinals leading the Orioles 6-3. Mark McGwire with a 3-run homer. Seeing Jesus Garcia, formerly known as Jesse Garcia, now using his first name, which is his proper name, Jesus. Jesse's his middle name.
Well, that's news to me.
Yeah, he requested it. To be known now as Jesus Garcia.
So if you become a player to be named later when you change your name like that?
And here's Jose Mercedes, who has yet to give up a run in 11 innings of pitching here for the Orioles in spring training.
Well, he's been quite impressive so far. Signed a contract with the Orioles in December. See his numbers here in the spring, pretty much flawless. He's kept the fastball down with a lot of life. He's been around a little bit. He's 29 years old.
Pitched for Milwaukee
for 3 or 4 seasons and has suffered arm miseries. Originally signed with the Orioles back in 1989 by former Oriole first base coach Carlos Bernhardt.
Bernhardt told the Orioles organization they ought to bring him back during the winter, and that's when they signed him as a minor league free agent.
Right, he supposedly had a terrific winter ball season. Went 5-1, 10 starts, 2.45 ERA.
He'll face Sean Dunston, Eli Marrero, and Eric Davis. First pitch is a strike call. Gabe Molina, 2 innings, 3 hits and a run and a walk. The Orioles trailing 6-3. McGuire with a 3-run homer and an RBI double. Ray Langford a solo. The Orioles getting RBI doubles from Charles Johnson and a 2-run double from Delano DeShields. Ryan Miner backhands it in foul territory. 0-2 the count.
Does everybody remember Sean Dunston from the postseason last year with the Mets? That unbelievable 15-inning game.
No, it was a great one to watch.
Yeah. When he felt he misplayed a ball, I think in the bottom of the 14th. He had that terrific bat leading off the 15th for the Mets.
That's 16 pitches.
Yeah, ended up getting on base and was eventually the Robin Ventura grand slam.
I still want Ventura to run the bases.
Yeah, I'm sure he would too.
Kirby with a nice catch in right center field to retire Sean Dunston. It doesn't go into the books as a grand slam.
No. Yeah, but see, you're into numbers and all that.
Well, that's what the game is. If you don't have numbers, you don't have wins and losses.
Well, and this is this last play by Wayne Kirby. That's what he brings to the club, and that's why they like Kirby so much. Versatility in the outfield, solid defensive outfielder.
And he's played before for Mike Hargrove.
That's right. Appears to be a battle between Derek May. And the whole question really being, are you going to go with 11 pitchers or 12?
Marrero and Miner retires Marrero on foul grounds. So that's 2 out now in the 8th inning as Marrero fouls out the 3rd. Here's a look at the Sideware game summary. Charles Johnson, 2 for 3 with an RBI double in the 3rd. Mark McGuire, 3-run homer. He also had an RBI double. And Sidney Ponson, 5 innings, 7 hits, gave up 2 home runs, struck out 4. Eric Davis, the DH at the top of the order. Struck out, grounded to 3rd, struck out. RBI single in the 6th inning for the 6th, the run for St. Louis. Cardinals have 6 runs, 10 hits. The Orioles 3 runs and 6. And really, the Orioles have not had a threat since the 3rd inning. And they bunched a bunch of hits, 3 hits together, and 2 doubles that provided them with those 3 runs. The 1-1 to Eric Davis. Too low. Flinching.
Caught me looking at the press guy. I only saw it out of the corner of my eye.
Seen Palmer lately?
About 2 weeks ago, I guess he popped in and popped out.
Surprised he didn't visit today.
Oh, he was on his way to Europe or
really?
The West Coast or somewhere. Stays busy.
One of the many plays that's in this area. Jerry Harrison to the glove side. Retiring Eric Davis. 1-2-3 for Jose Mercedes. Going to the bottom of the 8th. 6-3 St. Louis.
The leaves are falling. A chill is in the air.
Welcome back to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Tom Davis, Mike Flanagan. The Cardinals lead the Orioles 6-3. Headed for the bottom half of the 8th inning. The Cardinals come back with a new pitcher, their 4th of the day. As we look at Eddie Murray there on the first base coach's box. New pitcher is going to be Gene Steckschulte.
And there's a new pitching coach, Sammy Ellis. Done a nice job here, reacquainting himself with a number of the players. Rod Hendricks just to his right. So some changes last year. Mar Foley at first base. So this year Eddie Murray move out to that position. Sam Palazzo will stay at 3rd. Jeff Newman, who was Mike Hargrove's 3rd base coach last year with the Indians, is now the bench coach. And Tom, this is on you, the pronunciation.
It's Steckschulte. I talked with Tony La Russa about it earlier before the game. He told me he was going to try to get him in there. Gene Steckschulte.
Eugene Urban Steckschulte.
The bounding ball up the middle. Second baseman Vigna will throw it on a couple of hops, and Conine safe at first with a base hit to start the Orioles off in the 8th inning. Infield single. Jeff Conine, who had earlier fouled out the first. Just the 7th hit for the Orioles. They bunched 3 together for 3 runs in the 3rd, and been fairly silent since then. Steckschulte is 26 years old from Lima, Ohio. He was 2-6 at Arkansas last year with 19 saves in 39 games. Struck out 41 and walked 20, so that's a pretty good ratio of strikeouts to walks.
6'5", 210 pounds.
This is Ryan Miner now, who has been in the game for a couple of innings since Cal Ripken left. This is his first at bat. Cal was a ground out to third, a strikeout, and a fly to left. Miner hits one back over our heads.
Ryan Miner's had a pretty good spring, coming in today hitting .308.
Really a nice person.
Oh yeah, cut down on his swing a little bit, something Terry Crowley's been after him to do.
Cardinals have not been to postseason since 1996. First year Tony La Russa managed them. Really went out and got a lot of pitching during the offseason, picking up Pat Hinton and Darryl Kyle. Andy Dennis re-signed with them as Miner hits a drive deep to left field. Brian McCray going way back there, and this one is off the top of the wall. Conine to third, he'll stay there. And Ryan Miner with a double off the wall. Top of the Southwest Airlines sign here at Fort Lauderdale Stadium.
Another quality at bat from Ryan Miner. See that stroke, how short it is. Pulls those hands in. Something, again, he spent a lot of time working with Terry Crowley on. Quicken up that bat speed, make that swing a little shorter. Pretty good case in point right there.
There's Calvin Pickering, who hit .285 at Rochester with 16 home runs and 63 RBIs last season. Foul at the plate, 0-1 to Calvin Pickering, who is now playing first base in place of Will Clark, who singled, fly to center and singled.
Pickering's hit a couple of home runs this spring. And working on Pick on being a little bit more aggressive with runners in scoring position, to be an RBI man, not so patient at the plate when runners are there to be knocked in. He's always had a great eye for a big man.
Tremendous power.
Tremendous power to all fields, especially left.
Many have tagged Calvin Pickering with possibly being the next Mo Vaughn. Time will tell on that. Pickering will be thrown out there by the catcher. The runners remain third and second. Don't forget, Morganites return to Camden Yards on April the 5th and 6th when the Orioles take on the American League Central champions, the Cleveland Indians. All upper resort tickets for the 7:05 games are only $8. A savings of up to $5. Now get your Morganite tickets today by calling 1-888-848-BIRD or visit the Orioles on the web at theorioles.com. Can you imagine that? That's a savings of $5.
You are really into shopping, aren't you?
Oh, I'm so upset with the price. I'm so upset with the price of gasoline right now. I can't see straight.
Is that why you walked in?
Oh, I'll tell you one thing that happened to me, truthfully. I drove in this one gas station. They had price up $1.49. It's about 3 weeks ago before it hit the 160 level. And he hadn't changed the pump yet. It was $145.9. I couldn't pump enough gas in there to save 4 cents a gallon. I saved 84
in your pockets and everything.
I saved 84 cents. I was so happy it made my day.
It's not too cheap down here. It's about $1.65 over here.
Willie Morales, the catcher, in place of Charles Johnson, who doubled in one and singled and struck out. This one's hit high and deep to left field. Way back, and off the palm tree for a 3-run homer by Willie Morales to tie it up at 6. How about that?
Well, Morales has some pop. Nice short stroke. Talked a lot about his bat coming into spring training. He's a spring training invitee. But I also like his glove work behind the plate. Hit 16 home runs last year at Midland.
6-6, and here's Derek May. May now playing left field. Came into the game to replace Eugene Kingsdale.
Morales signed with the Orioles as a minor league free agent over the winter.
Wrapped on the ground to Larry Sutton, the first baseman. 2 away as Derek May grounds out to first. So Willie Morales can say, take that, Mark McGwire. I did what you did, a 3-run homer.
Well, McGwire's probably in a limo heading back to the Cardinal complex, though.
You're right. Up to Jupiter now, right? That's what he's doing.
Nice complex. We'll get to visit there this week.
Rich Amaral.
He's gone all the way today.
Left field to start out, now in center field, and he wraps one to short. In the dirt, and a nice pick up by Larry Sutton, and that's the side. The Orioles get a 3-run homer from Willie Morales and tie the game up at 6 through 8 innings. HTS's coverage of Orioles baseball has been brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Log on for low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of the freedom. Tom Davis, Mike Flanagan. You're looking at Jose Mercedes. It's the benefactor of a 3-run homer by his battery mate Willie Morales. With a 3-run homer to tie the game up. When you talk about an impact home run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Morales. So I like the way he receives. I like his target. I like the way he throws.
I'll tell you what, about 1 million people suddenly became a fan of him back in Baltimore. Fernando Vina, Polanco, and Sutton will be the 3 hitters to face Jose Mercedes here in the top of the 9th inning.
Interesting in the spring and will not take place in the summer is many times when you come over here or make a road trip, you only bring maybe 10 or 11 innings worth of pitching. So a lot of times there'll either be some pre-game agreement. If we're tied, I have 11 innings of pitching, and they'll agree on how long they'll play. So we'll have to keep our eye on Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, and Tony La Russa, the manager, see if they meet with Hargrove between innings. Maybe discuss just that. The Orioles only had scheduled 9-inning pitching, but they brought over a couple of kids from the minor league camp just in case. So I would guess that they probably have 11 or 12 innings or so. I'm not sure of the depth of the Cardinal pen.
Lifted foul out of play off the third base side. They still have Mike Moeller listed as one of the pitchers that they brought with them, plus reliever Dave Veers, another pitcher by the name of Dave Wainhouse. So they still have 3 pitchers that
You always want to bring a couple of backups. Some clubs do, and some clubs don't. The Orioles have a split squad game coming up on the 25th. So they'll need a lot of pitching that day and the day after. And they're sending, I think, Mike Trombley and Tim and a couple others over to the minor league camp in Sarasota so they can stretch out and pitch 3 innings. That's the big difference in this camp, is that they've noticeably gone out and got the relievers more work. So if things should happen to the rotation in April, the bullpen is more prepared.
base hit by Vina to right field as Hairston and Pickering tried to their best to get that ball, but it just got through.
Seeing that ground ball, this is what they want out of Vina. Singles hitter with some speed.
Hairston flying through the air with the greatest of ease.
Yes. He's battled a pulled groin muscle on and off all spring. He had a bruise on his hand. But he's been playing all out.
Here's Placido Polanco, who came in to play shortstop for Edgar Renteria. Polanco hit .277 in 88 games for the Cardinals last year. Had a home run and 19 RBIs. Also had .275 at Memphis.
Well, they had the leadoff man on with nobody out. Polanco showing the bunt early.
Mercedes has not been scored on now in 12 innings. Had one to that last inning. There's a ball that gets off the shoulder of Hairston. He'll throw to first to Pickering to retire Polanco. But down to second base goes Fernando Vina.
Actually, a missed sign by someone as they switched from the bunt to the hit and run. And Vina wasn't running. Normally, you'd like to drag the second baseman over to cover, and that hole would have been opened. Because Vina didn't run, Hairston standing right there.
I think one thing about Jerry Hairston that I really like, and I think a lot of fans like, is his ability that even if he messes something up, he's got cat-like reflexes to try to recover.
He has quick feet. Key to being a good infielder.
Larry Sutton singled in his only trip to the plate. He took over for Mark McGuire, who earlier hit a 3-run homer and had an RBI double. So McGuire knocked in 4 of the 6 St. Louis runs. It's 6-6. St. Louis batting top of the 9th inning. The Orioles tied the game up on that Willie Morales 3-run homer in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Jose Mercedes on the mound for the Orioles. This is his second inning of work. Sidney Ponson pitched 5, Gabe Molina 2, and Mercedes had a scoreless 8th inning. Nice left by Mercedes. Boy, pulled the string on that. Sutton was about a foot in front.
Counting on that first pitch fastball. Watch how far out in front Sutton is. Looks like a fastball, and it's about 6 miles an hour slower than anticipated.
Should make the seats.
Hitting that side of the field with the wind. It's just blown right into the stands.
Count stays at 0-2 for Larry Sutton. Sutton played for Kansas City last year. Hit .225 in 43 games. Also spent some time at Omaha, the AAA level.
Eric
Davis there.
Yeah, signing a few autographs.
It's a big fan favorite when he played in Baltimore. The Orioles and the Cardinals, top of the 9th inning. Outside to Larry Sutton. Can hear the guys in the stands. Last call.
Hear the vendors, can't you? You're unbelievable. I can tune in.
Last call.
That vendors in the soccer stadium behind us in this last
call.
Well, believe me, you can hear that gentleman. You're down in the stands. I've sat down there for some of the games. He covers about 3 sections away with that voice.
Hey, bring me some. The 2-2 to Larry Sutton. Hard hit up the middle. Jerry Hairston flicks it up in the air with his glove. He recovers, and staying at third base is Fernando Vina. Hairston saved the run. The ball didn't get to the outfield, but I think he would have liked to have had a better angle on it to make a play to first.
The thing is, at the last hop, the ball came up. This field had been covered for a couple of days because of the heavy rains. And watch the last hop when it gets to Harrison. Right there, it comes up just enough to get him off the heel. And actually, the third base coach for the Cardinals had waved Vina in because with his back to the play, he didn't realize Harrison had bobbled the ball. So the Orioles catch a break with the go-ahead run remaining at third.
Here's Brian McRae, the son of the former Royal, Hal McRae, who managed in Kansas City. Brian played there in Kansas City, also has played for the Chicago Cubs.
Mets. Last season's been with 3 teams.
He's a good player. Garcia and Minor. It's Minor who makes the catch. 2 away.
And that was not an easy play.
Especially where Minor was playing. He was in.
Respecting the speed of McRae, but it's not hit that high. McRae was jammed badly.
Minor using some of his basketball ability to get back there with a leap. Luca at third base. I'll be honest with you, I have studied every Cardinal I could come up with, but Luca did not come up on my list. I apologize. Outside for ball 1. I do know this, that Luca's at third base for Fernando Tatis.
See, you sound like a little gunshot.
No.
Early on, you were confident.
No, I thought that one had a little bit more lower arc to it. Vigna at third, Sutton at first. 2 out, top of the 9th inning, game tied at 6. And again, if you tuned in late, the Orioles scored 3 in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. RBI double Charles Johnson, 2-run double Delino DeShields. They get a Willie Morales 3-run homer tied up in the bottom of the 8th inning. Going down to second is Larry Sutton, uncontested.
Really a delayed steal, and just the Orioles showing no coverage whatsoever. Paying close attention to Vigna at third.
So now you got Vigna at third, Sutton at second, 2 out, and a 2-ball 1-strike count to the batter, Luca.
Mercedes has been doing it all spring.
Right on the edge of the plate.
Down 2-1 in the count. Right to that outside corner. Nice frame by Morales, the catcher.
2-2 pitch with 2 out. Morales had to stretch out there to get that one from Mercedes. So it's a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Earlier, McGuire, a 3-run homer and an RBI double. Ray Langford, a solo home run, and Eric Davis drove in a run with a single. That accounts for the 6 Cardinal runs. Willie Morales, a 3-run homer, and Delino DeShields, a 2-run double, and Charles Johnson, an RBI double. That accounts for the 6 Oriole runs. 3-2, 2 out, top of the 9th, and 2 on. Runners at second and third, Fernando Vigna and Larry Sutton. Mercedes slows his pace down a little bit as we check the runners. Mercedes to Luca. Jerry Hairston. The throw to first, and the Cardinals are done in the top of the 9th. No runs, 2 left in scoring position. Headed to the bottom of the 9th. Cardinals and Orioles tied at 6. Kids join the Orioles Dugout Club for just $6 and receive a members-only T-shirt, membership card, and a chance to purchase discounted game tickets and more. For more information, call the Orioles at 410-685-9800 or visit the Orioles on the web at theorioles.com. That's 410-685-9800. Jesus Garcia, formerly known as Jesse Garcia. You haven't heard this. I can just tell by the look on your face.
I'm shocked.
There was a note in the paper last week where they said that he apparently went to the writers and said, I want to be called by my formal name, which is Jesus.
I guess he didn't feel obliged to tell me, so that's all right.
You weren't doing it?
I've been calling Jesse all week. I feel badly.
Earlier, Mike Bordick fly to right, walked twice, he singled to left, and now Garcia with his first trip to the plate. 6-6, Orioles and Cardinals, bottom of the 9th. 2 balls and a strike now to Garcia.
Oh, you're probably right. It's on the board that way.
I try to keep up to date.
You're unbelievable. Way
outside. 3 balls and a strike. Gene Steck Schulte. That's the pitcher for the Cardinals.
Maybe he should change his name, too. Help me out a lot.
It's like he's got two names squeezed together.
Yeah, just look at the back of his shirt, you know. The letters go from one armpit to the other.
Garcia lifts this one down the first base line in foul grounds. Larry Sutton makes the catch. Nice play there. Guarding against the sun. Look at that.
That's a clubhouse man's nightmare.
Especially if you sew them one individually.
I guess it's not as bad as Grzelcyk and some of the other long ones.
Oh, gee. A lot of them. But Etchebarren would wrap his all the way around. Remember that years ago?
Do you think he's probably known as Steck?
Or Schulte. There's Jerry Hairston. Playing now for Delano DeShields at second base. And DeShields earlier had a 2-run double that gave the Orioles a 3-1 lead back in the third inning. Orioles with a 3-run third and a 3-run eighth to tie it up. Hairston, a fly ball to center. J.D. Drew has it in range. 2 out. Wayne Kirby will come up. Kirby came as a pinch runner for Albert Bell. Later came to bat and popped to short. Here's Tony La Russa. Changing pitchers now. Bringing, I think, Mike Moeller in.
That's right.
So we'll take a short break. Call to the bullpen. And we'll be back with more Orioles Cardinals baseball here from Fort Lauderdale in a moment. We're looking at the numbers of Mike Moeller, who comes in with 2 out, nobody on, bottom of the 9th inning to face Wayne Kirby. And the numbers, high 4s, really are representative of Mike Moeller. Moeller, last year, 48 games, 49 in the third innings, and 47 hits. 1 win, 1 loss, and an earned run average of 4.3 with St. Louis.
He spent much of his career with the Oakland Athletics. He's evolved into one of those left-handed specialists. And basically, this will be his job during the summer. Come in, face that tough lefty late in the game.
Get one guy out.
That's it.
Great job if you can get it.
And you get it. But he will probably be having the same role with the Orioles, much like Orozco did for the last 5 years. They're valuable commodities.
2-1 pitch. Hard into the seats. 2-2 now to Wayne Kirby.
The Athletics tried to make Moeller into a starter in 1997. Wasn't very successful. Started the season 0-7.
Brian McCray in left field. That's the side. The Orioles and the Cardinals are going to go to extra innings, tied at 6. Extra innings, first exhibition game on HTS this year, and St. Louis and the Orioles are tied up at 6 thanks to Willie Morales' 3-run homer in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Jose Mercedes still in there for the Orioles. He's now worked 13 scoreless innings, 11 coming into today and 2 more today. He'll be facing the bottom 3 in Tony La Russa's lineup now. J.D. Drew, Sean Dunston, and the catcher, Eli Marrero. Drew has flied to right, grounded to first, bounced to second, and also grounded out to the first baseman. Fastball in for the strike, and that had a lot of pop to it.
So that's good stuff. Pitched out of a tough jam last inning.
Jerry Hairston cannot get it. Wayne Kirby will. J.D. Drew has a base hit.
Well, they led off the 9th the same way. Leadoff man Vigna reached. Let's see what La Russa pulls out. Sean Dunston already looking back at the third base coach.
Typical National League baseball, Bunny Mobley.
Well, see if they want to bunt. Well, hit and run. La Russa did a lot last year trying to manufacture some runs. Tired of waiting back for the 3-run homer. Though there's been a couple of those today.
Mark McGwire hitting his third home run of spring training, a 3-run homer. The Cardinals on top, and then Willie Morales hitting a 3-run home in the bottom of the 8th inning for the Orioles to tie it up. Good fastball in for the strike by Jose Mercedes to Sean Dunston. Dunston flied to right back in the 8th inning facing Mercedes.
No sign of the bunt in the first pitch.
You definitely think that the Orioles will have 11 pitchers to start the season and not 12?
Well, that's been the talk is 11 or 12 pitchers, or 13 regulars or 14. Would you rather have the extra pitcher, or do you want the extra bat on the bench?
How much is he going to pinch hit, though, when you think about it? I mean, BJ plays every game. Brady does.
Well, it gives you another defensive replacement, if anything.
I mean, they got Amaral out there. He can play any one of the three.
And the other side is, do you carry a 12 pitcher we're used to using in case of disaster, maybe, or a blowout game?
Down the left field line to Dunston into the left field corner. Garrett May picking the ball up. Down to third base goes J.D. Drew, and on at second, Sean Dunston with a double.
Well, Dunston just decides to go ahead and swing away. Fastball in the park. Ryan Miner just playing in just in case the threat of a bunt. And the ball gets by him down the line. So Mercedes has another tough jam to pitch out of. Second and third, nobody out.
Here's the catcher, Eli Marrero. He's going to be intentionally walked.
Gives the Orioles defense more options.
It'll also give Eduardo Perez a chance to bat for Eric Davis. Are moving. J.D. Drew at third, Sean Dunston at second, and Eli Morrell is going to be on at first base right now, and that'll bring up Eduardo Perez.
Well, Mike Hargrove will move the infield defense in. So they'll really try to get a ground ball here off the bat of Perez. Try to go home to first.
Everything tightens up. I mean, really tight to the grass. In the positioning of the infield with the umpire right behind the pitchers. Now it looks like there's 5 infielders out there with the Orioles wearing their dark shirts.
Probably use another one. Nice to plug that hole. Some managers make that move. Pull the center fielder in.
It's true.
Put him in that hole.
Shortstop Garcia to the plate. On a hop. Morales couldn't handle it. Drew scores. Here comes the second run. Dunston slides in. He's safe. Cardinals break the tie and lead it 8-6. After Garcia throws home.
Well, the scoreless streak is over for Mercedes. Garcia does a nice job of backhanding and just makes a poor throw to the plate. Morales with that big catcher's mitt tries a short hop pick, and alertly Sean Dunston just keeps motoring around third. Right here, the low throw. A little bit more time than he thought. You want to make sure of one and then turn the double play. Important out was the first one.
The Orioles' second error. 2-run score off of it. And Fernando Venez at that. The infield still tight. Ball one outside. So Marrero is now on at third base. Perez at first. 2 on.
Still
nobody out. Yeah, an 8-6 lead for the Cardinals, who now have 14 base hits. Pena with a line drive, base hit to center field. That'll score Marrero, make it 9-6 St. Louis. Down to second is Perez. RBI single for Fernando Vina.
I guess a pitch he can handle up and out of the plate. That short swing from Vina. Just serves it in the center field. As a hitter, that's all you're looking for, something up in the zone that you can just flip out there.
Here's Placido Polanco, Cardinals shortstop behind Edgar Renteria. Infield looks for 2. A bunt. Mercedes will give way to Morales, and nobody's covering first base. Pickering is on the infield grass. Jerry Hairston's behind the bag backing it up. Nobody covered the bag.
Well, the wheels have sort of come off the cart.
It's an error of omission there.
Real nice bunt, but Pickering caught in no man's land. Somewhere else called correctly and call off Mercedes, but nobody to throw to.
Thankfully, he didn't just wheel and throw.
No, there was nobody there. The closest person to the bag was actually the first base umpire. And this won't make Mike Hargrove too happy. He likes his club to be fundamentally sound.
Here's Larry Sutton. Power play, 0-1.
Radimus Dykhoff up and throwing in the Oriole bullpen.
Sutton has 2 hits. Came to first base after Mark McGuire had a 2-hit, 3 RBI performance, making a 4 RBI performance. Radimus Dykhoff in the bullpen, left-handed. Too high. 1 ball and 1 strike to Larry Sutton. Perez, Vina, and Polanco on the base paths. 3 runs in, a 9-6 Cardinal lead. Got the strike on the appeal play there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. If you count the coaches, excluding the pitcher and the batter and the catcher, there's 10 guys from the third base coach's box all the way to the first base coach's box, right? It's unbelievable. I mean, there's a third base coach, a runner at third, 2 infielders, an umpire standing there in the grass, runner at second, 2 more infielders, a runner at first, an umpire, and another coach.
Pretty good grouping. There's your look at it.
It's unreal how tight they're compressed.
Well, from our angle up here high,
Sutton with a base hit to right field. Perez scores from third. They'll only take 1 on that one. So Larry Sutton, RBI single, and a 10-6 St. Louis lead now.
Well, still not able to record an out.
4 runs in, nobody out, and the Cardinals have 17 base hits. And here's Sammy Ellis walking out to talk with Mercedes.
No, I think he's already signaled to the bullpen, actually.
Dykhoff will come in. So Jose Mercedes walks to the Orioles dugout, and Radimus Dykhoff is on the mound, and we'll be back with more Orioles baseball from Fort Lauderdale in a moment. Back at Fort Lauderdale Stadium, Tom Davis and Mike Flanagan were in the top of the 10th inning. The Cardinals have just scored 4 times. Nobody out. And St. Louis still has the bases loaded. Jose Mercedes has departed. And Radimus Dykhoff is now on the mound for the Orioles.
Well, the base hits for the Cardinals have really mounted. Now they're up to 17.
Dykhoff 2-0 at Rochester in 47 games. Pitched in 82 in the third innings, struck out 57, had one save. This is Brian McRae, who has a switch hitter, now batting right-handed.
Radimus, one of the the Rubin connection.
That's right.
He's the cousin of Sidney Ponson, and you have
Maduro,
Calvin Maduro, and Eugene Kingsale.
I think Baltimore owns that territory for players.
Radimus has made some adjustments on his own. He's come up with a two-seam fastball. Also a little bit better curveball. Again, still a little green. And has that sneaky quality, sort of slings the ball. The elbow drops a little bit, and at times very difficult for the hitter to pick up.
I actually saw him pitch in '98 when they had that game down at Bowie, when they combined all the minor league teams like that, like the minor league all-star Orioles show up, and he pitched in that game. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Brian McRae. Don't forget, more games on HTS the next 4 days. Tomorrow night, Port St. Lucie against the Mets, and then afternoon games Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Every spring training, 5 games on HTS. And the standard since 1984.
I did not know that.
McRae lifts a pop up down the first base side and foul grounds Joe Harrison in the long run, and it drops.
Just that first out this inning is just so difficult to come by. Some games you play and it just seems like the players make outs, and in this inning they just can't seem to buy one.
Ryan, we hit 2 here.
The 1-2. Pickering near the Orioles dugout, missed it. Missed it by about 2 feet.
Once we get that first out, we're going to be fine. I know it.
I mean, McRae's trying to cooperate.
And the thing is, he's made 3 outs already. You know, he's just still hitting. That's when that starts happening. You start grinding and trying a little too hard, making the game harder than it is.
Strike 3 on the outside corner. Brian McRae caught looking in there is the first out.
That's more like it.
One out. Here's Luca. Oh no, excuse me, we've got a pinch hitter. Oh no, we don't. No, that's still Luca. Apologize on that. I looked down at his number and I didn't think he was wearing 74 in his last trip to the plate.
It seems like he's coming to the game in the 7th inning and hit 5 times.
Hit twice.
Right. In 2 innings.
No, he's 0 for 1 with a ground out. Before that, Tatis was 0 for 4. St. Louis with a 4-run 10th inning. There's 1 out. Bases loaded, and Radimus Dykhoff. Chance for 2. Garcia to Hairston for 1. To first. There's the double play, and the inning's over. Took a while, but the Orioles finally get out of it. Cardinals score 4. And the Birds need 5 to win it in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Come on, Nick.
We set out the bottom half of the 10th inning. St. Louis leads the Orioles 10-6. St. Louis with 17 base hits. The Orioles with 9. And Mike Hargrove not happy with what he saw there in the last inning.
No, a little rough inning defensively, certainly. Would have been a tough inning to get out of. Had a chance, and once the Garcia throw went low to the plate, the wheels sort of came off the cart before Dykhoff righted the situation.
Here's Jeff Conine, who has fouled to first and got an infield base hit. One hopper to the shortstop, Polanco. Throws out Jeff Conine. One away in the bottom of the 10th. Ryan Miner next up. He tuned in late. The Orioles scored 3 in the bottom of the 3rd, getting an RBI double from Charles Johnson, 2-run double from Delano DeShields. He tied it up in the bottom half of the 8th inning on a 3-run homer from Willie Morales, the catcher, and then surrendered 4 runs in the top of the 10th inning to give St. Louis that 10-6 lead. One and one now to Ryan Miner. Mike Mola came on in the 9th inning and retired Wayne Kirby in a one-batter, one-out situation. Two and one to Ryan Miner. Heads 2 and 2. I think Miner's stock has fallen a little bit.
I think it's maybe re-risen this spring. Last year clearly pressing in spring training, and this year's come in with an attitude on a year older and a little bit more focused.
Miner strikes out, 2 away here in the bottom of the 10th inning with the Orioles trailing 10-6. Here's Calvin Pickering.
Pretty good fastball from Moeller in a good spot. Next pitch down and away, and pretty good sequence of pitches by Moeller.
One strike to Calvin Pickering. Pickering was out on a little tapper in front of the plate. Earlier, Will Clark had 2 hits and 3 trips to the plate. Larry Sutton takes the high hop. He'll flip to Moeller, and that's the game. Orioles go 1-2-3 in the bottom half of the 10th inning. Cardinals score 4 in the top of the 10th and beat the Orioles 10-6. We'll be back for a recap in just a moment.